Hello, this is the Provoked Prawn, here with another edition of Prawn News, the show where I basically talk to you about the various different things of interest from this week, tech launches, news stories, and other things of interest. I'm going to leave timestamps down below so you can jump to the relevant things that you might find interesting, as well as links to the full stories in the description. But what I want to do is talk to you about various different things that I found pretty cool, and hopefully you will too. Starting with the Razer Wolverine V3 Pro, which is a high-end gaming controller from Razer, and a nice update to the lineup, which obviously I'll be reviewing soon because I've got the thing here, as you can see. But it has some really cool features to it that include mouse switch buttons basically built into the controller, which give a really satisfying click to them. Additional paddles, so additional triggers up here, so you can actually use it with claw grip, because you can see it's got an extra button on the top there. It has Hall effect thumbsticks to reduce the potential for stick drift, as well as a number of other highlights to it as well. It's a very nice controller. It's pretty expensive though, at around $200, £200. Obviously, expensive is very subjective, but this is also very premium. It feels it in the hand, it looks it, and it's been fun to play with so far. So stick around to see my full review on it soon. The next story is that Samsung's working on a 3D monitor that's coming this year, and considering where we are in the year, that means there's not much time left for it to be launched. But this is a 3D gaming monitor, which basically means you don't have to wear glasses while playing games on it. So that's a pretty nice advent to it. I personally feel like 3D was a bit of a gimmick for a little while. There were some monitors earlier on, and obviously televisions as well. It kind of died off a little bit, and now it seems to be coming back. Apparently, this isn't only one available. Asus is also pitching one out there as well. There's no word on the price at the moment, and it's probably going to be ridiculously expensive when you consider how much Samsung's Odyssey monitor lineup is. They're getting in the $2,000–3,000 marks. They're pretty expensive, but it could be pretty cool to have 3D without the need to wear glasses, I think. Especially if you're like me and you already wear glasses. Trying to wear 3D glasses over the top of them is a bit of a hassle. But how many games will support it, I'm not sure. Whether it'll be worth it or whether it's just going to be a gimmick. Let me know what you think. I think it could be quite cool, maybe, if they can pull it off. So it'll be interesting to see. I haven't seen the tech personally. It was shown off at CES, apparently, so it has been seen by some people. But it'll be interesting to see what happens there and how much it's going to cost. One PC gamer has spent apparently somewhere between $400,000 and $700,000 to get the top profile on Steam. So they've been buying badges and crafting things in order to maximize Steam points to get the biggest display of points available and to be a massive show-off and show off how much money they've got. Having a fancy Steam profile obviously sets you apart from everyone else, but somebody from the United Arab Emirates has apparently spent a ridiculous amount of money in order to get to the top of this and show off all of various things, including skins and other things in their collection as well. Pretty crazy what people will spend money on. For a while now, Asus has had a pretty neat feature on its motherboards where you could essentially just press a button near the PCIe X16 slot at the far end to release your graphics card. So rather than the traditional latch where you have to push that in, you just have a button that you could press allow you to pull the graphics card out, which made life a lot easier for someone like me that's regularly changing GPUs and building PCs and whatever else. Pretty nice addition. But now they've gone a step further and recently shown off a new technology that they've got on their motherboards, which means you don't even need to press a button. You can just tug the GPU from the end closest to the brackets where you secure it into the case, and it will come out. If you try and pull from the other end, it won't work, so it won't just come loose, and you have to then just tug at it. So there's no button to get to, so there's no fiddling around, because if you ever tried to remove a GPU with a standard sort of clip on it, it can be a real pain to get your hand in there and just push that down and pull it out. So it's a nice sort of addition for removing graphics cards easily. Now, how much are you actually using that, the average person, on a daily basis or regularly enough for it to be exciting? I don't know. But for me personally, I think it's nice to see these sorts of changes. Asus has been doing some pretty cool stuff lately, obviously with the BTF motherboards as well, having all the connectors on the rear. I recently built a PC using that, which meant you could put the power cables at the rear and then basically keep a really clean design at the front. So it's nice to see them constantly updating the motherboard technology and trying new things out. So it'd be pretty cool to see what happens here and how much other tech they can throw into this space as well. Apparently, Meta has pulled the plug on its plans to work on a VR headset to compete with the Apple Vision Pro. We're talking a real high-end headset here. There were plans and prototypes being worked on known as La Jolla, and a very expensive headset that uses micro OLED technology to deliver a really good experience. However, Meta's abandoned that, and they say it's probably down to the fact that Apple Vision Pro hasn't really set any fires and got that much excitement out of the audience. And it's expensive. It was like $3,500 or something for Apple's Vision Pro headset, which is obviously ridiculous. Instead, Meta's going to keep rolling out the Quests. Obviously, we have Quest 3, Quest 4 is rumored to be coming soon as well, somewhere in 2026. I say soon, but that'll soon fly by. Some say that the Quest Pro, the top end of Meta's lineup of headsets, didn't review that well and hasn't done that well over time anyway. I personally like it, and I've still got one. However, you can see it's nice to see that Meta's sort of sticking to that more budget. It's not particularly budget, but the more accessible Quest lineup of headsets that make it easy for the masses to buy and to use in various different ways. And Meta's also been working on loads of other prototypes, and it's nice to see the way they keep changing their technology and improving the headsets over time. The latest Quest headset, for example, has those pass-through cameras, and people have been using it to watch YouTube videos while doing the washing up and things like that, which is an interesting use case, maybe one that you haven't thought of if you think about buying a VR headset and can't see the uses for other things. Hands-free, watching videos like my own while doing other things, pretty neat feature of those headsets, I think. Whether it's enough to spend hundreds on, I don't know, but it's still pretty cool. So I like the fact that Meta's continuing to craft headsets and maybe isn't worried about the ridiculously expensive end of it. What do you think? Is it worth doing stupidly expensive headsets for a limited audience? Another thing that's really nice to see is Intel is apparently working on its new GPUs, the Arc Battlemage, the XE2 GPUs, discrete GPUs for full-on desktop computers, and they'll be announced at some point. We're not quite sure when, but there's been a lot of news stories over the last few months about these GPUs, and the fact that Intel's still doing it is pretty exciting, I think. The original Arc GPUs were affordable. I've bought one. I also reviewed a different one, and I found that they were actually really good for the price. You're getting some pretty good performance for the price, and a hell of a lot more affordable than Nvidia's graphics cards. So it'd be really nice if Intel's carrying on with these GPUs, because it will mean that we've got more competition, Intel, AMD, and Nvidia, meaning that the prices may be a bit more competitive over time if they keep producing these GPUs and keep boshing them out and keep improving them as well. It could be good for all gamers and definitely beneficial. Carrying on with the Intel news, and I think this is really important to keep highlighting. If you're not aware already, there's been problems with Intel's 13th and 14th gen CPUs and a lot of issues with those, and I want to keep going on about this until everyone does it. So if you're watching this video and you have one of those CPUs, make sure you've got the latest BIOS update. PC Mag has done an in-depth sort of look at the BIOS updates and the microcode fixes. So Intel is insisting on these microcode updates, which come via BIOS updates via your motherboard. And the latest ones will ensure you get a more stable CPU experience, and it should help protect your CPU over time and prevent it from becoming unstable and finding issues with it. So it's really important that you do this, but I'd recommend having a look at this PC Mag article, because it basically shows that the microcode updates and those BIOS changes make a small reduction in performance overall, which is good news, while obviously helping to save your CPU and prevent issues in future. This has been an ongoing story and one that keeps coming up, but it's really important that you make sure you update your BIOS. I've done a few videos on how to update your BIOS if you're not sure, but this should make life a lot easier for everybody. It's a shame that you have to, but I would highly recommend doing it. If you've been putting it off, now's the time to do it, and check out that article to find out more about it. It seems that news has come that both Apple and Nvidia are set to invest in OpenAI. That's ChatGPT. That's no surprise considering how well ChatGPT's been doing, and Microsoft has invested a hell of a lot of money over the last few years in the AI system, and we're expecting to see a lot more in future. Now, Nvidia has been doing very well in the stock market in terms of its share price because of its investment in AI and the overall, what people are calling the AI bubble. Whether that bubble bursts or not, we'll be seeing. But obviously, Nvidia's GPUs are not only important in the consumer side of things, but have also been used in other areas and help support the AI tech. So it makes sense that Nvidia would be investing in OpenAI because its GPUs will be used in that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Whether AI carries on being this exciting. It's been some interesting sort of things going on with it, not just in image technology, but obviously been using it in other areas. And no doubt we'll see it integrated into games in the future a lot more. There's been a lot of interesting news around that with AI NPCs, for example. We're talking to AI NPCs, but also just improving the graphics and other things like that as well. For me personally, there was an interesting thing the other day where someone had joined my Discord and said that they'd use ChatGPT to try and help them build a PC. So rather than watching my videos, they were using AI to help them, but it was giving them sort of conflicting information and wasn't sure what was happening there. So that was pretty interesting. Be interesting to see if that carries on and whether everyone's going to be using ChatGPT. Although not really a tech launch or even particularly interesting story for gamers, I found this story interesting about Nvidia's CEO basically selling $14 million worth of his shares on a regular basis and making a small fortune for himself. Apparently, the rules of the company say it's fine to be able to do this, which is pretty interesting, I think. And so Jensen's been making a small fortune. Nvidia's been doing really well in the stock market lately. There's been a slight share fall recently, despite the announcement that they're beating their estimated earnings. So the company's been doing really well. Obviously, not just by charging extortionate prices for its GPUs, but also selling in a business level and now with the AI investment too. So Nvidia is doing really well for itself. But it's pretty interesting that the CEO can just sell shares and make a massive profit. I found that quite fascinating. If you're like me and you like white things, then you'll be pleased to see... Wait, that sounds racist. If you're like me and you like white peripherals and gaming parts, then you'll be pleased to see that Secretlab has announced a new lineup and a collection of white things for its Magnus lineup of desks and desk mats and monitor arms and other things. So the Magnus is a motorized sit-stand desk, which will basically raise up nicely. I did a review on it previously. It's very nice, high quality desk with some really nice highlights to it, but now it's available in white along with other things like the monitor arm and other things, so you can basically have an all white setup. How that will hold up over time with a really white desk and white parts will remain to be seen, but I think it looks pretty nice and could be a very nice addition to your room maybe. Secretlab stuff is really good quality as well, and that desk is fantastic in terms of build quality. It's worth checking out my review on it and see what you think. So hopefully you found this an interesting insight into this week's tech news. Let me know in the comments if you've seen anything that you thought was particularly interesting. And don't forget to subscribe and come back for more if you haven't done so already. And to see the review of the Razer Wolverine V3 Pro, amongst other things. This has been The Provoked Prawn. Thanks very much for watching.